Thank you for stopping by Queen Techni. Everyone is saying how YouTube is putting out content of small content creators. I want to really test this out. I have been releasing videos and I love talking about technology. I like talking about cybersecurity. However, I don't want to be pigeonholed to just talking about only those things. I have a good amount of life experience. I am over 45 and I have raised two young people into productive, responsible adults along with my husband. And also, I'm a grandmother. And so I just have a plethora of things to share and to talk about. And I believe that many people can benefit. But I really want to find out, is YouTube really pushing out videos of small content creators such as myself? Because that's what everyone says, whether it's DoorDash or if it is some of the other creators that are online. And so I've been watching these videos and I have been uploading at least twice out of a given week, with the exception of 1 week. And so I'm really going to work hard to make sure that I produce at least 2 videos each week. And so let's talk about it. It's still the beginning of the year. We're still in January. And I know a lot of people have goals and things that they want to accomplish. And so maybe something that you don't think about with regards to how to protect yourself and your assets and your information to the best of your ability. Well, a way for you to do that is to change your passwords and to make sure that you do not use the same password over and over again on various sites. You also want to make sure that you are using a mixture of letters, numbers, and symbols, and you also want to use uppercase and lowercase letters when you are typing out things. And it is really good practice to not even spell out a word. So maybe what you want to do is to focus in on a passphrase. And so let's just say, I love vanilla ice cream to infinity. So let's just say that that is the phrase. What you could do is basically just take the first letter of each one of those words, and you can use a number in the place of an actual letter that's similar. And then you would use whatever symbol, such as an exclamation point, an asterisk, etc. And I would say you would want to have something that's at least 12 characters or more. And even if you just set a goal of changing one password for each account, that is really good practice. And then outside of that, what you want to also do is to set up two-step authentication. And so whatever accounts that you're using, especially your social media, you want to have a two-factor authentication, because unfortunately out here in these internet streets, we have criminals and they're constantly are figuring out ways to swindle people. So I remember reading an actual article where a lady ended up getting someone to provide information to them about her Facebook account. So just as an example, lady had her Facebook account, someone ended up hacking her Facebook account, didn't know it, and she ended up receiving a message from her friend saying that she needed her to provide her with a password when this text message comes through. However, it was not her friend. And so because we have AI tools and things of that nature, it sounded like her friend, it sounded like her voice. And so you always want to take a pause and you want to think about what it is that you're being asked, and you never want to provide certain pieces of information. And so I even just said to myself, well, why does someone even want to hack someone's Facebook? And so in this particular news report, it was saying that this one lady whose page they hacked, her father had passed away. And so the criminals ended up using that to their advantage. So what they ended up doing is they ended up sending out direct messages to friends and family, and they were saying that due to the person's father passing away, that they were going to be having an estate sale. They were going to be selling off various things, and they started providing pictures of different things and saying that people could send money to a certain place or whatever for different items and things of that nature. However, she never sent those messages. And so she had no way of knowing at the time immediately that those messages were going out, and it was after the fact. So that's why it's really important to have two-factor authentication. And I even recommend, if it's only through text message, great. But if you don't have to do it through text message and you have to provide a code, I would highly suggest going that route first, to use an authenticator app where whenever you are signing in to verify that it really is you, then you would then in turn have to put that code in order to get into the account. Is it somewhat of an inconvenience for us? Absolutely. But which one would we rather? A small inconvenience or someone getting a hold of our account and then impersonating us and swindling people? We don't want that. So it's really important to do that. And then another thing that I wanted to talk about is life insurance. So my husband and I used to be insurance agents, and we ended up providing auto insurance, home insurance, renters, life insurance. And oftentimes many people shied away from talking about life insurance, or they did not necessarily want to take out a life policy. And oftentimes it's better for us to get those things when we are a lot younger because they are much cheaper. So just as an example, I have young adults who are in their 20s. And so this would be the most opportune time for them to get life insurance policies. So that way, pretty much, they will be able to lock in at a given rate as far as for permanent insurance. And when I say permanent insurance, whenever you take out that insurance, whether it's 50,000, 100,000, 150,000, 300,000, whatever it is, if you take out a universal life policy, or if you take out a whole life policy, both of those policies are permanent policies as long as you continue to pay the premium on a month-to-month basis. And that means that you're locked in when at those rates that you ended up taking out the policy. So let's just say if you're 25, you take out a $300,000 life insurance policy, then pretty much you're going to just consistently pay that given amount. To whereas if I was to take out a policy based on my age, my policy is going to be a lot more for that given amount just because my age. To whereas when you're in your 20s and your 30s, then the policy is less. Now, of course, if you smoke, then the premium is higher and things like that. So you would have to expect to pay a little bit more. And I know the opinion, it varies. I do like the fact that if you do have a permanent policy, you're locked in at that rate, to whereas when you do a term policy, it is just that. It's for a specific term, a specific time period. So the time period may be 15 years, it may be 10 years, it may be 20 years. And basically when that time period is over, you have to take out another policy, and it's based on your age at that particular point in time. Yet what I will say is that a term policy is going to be a whole lot less than a permanent policy. And so if you're just trying to make sure that you have something if something was to happen, and let's just say that you are someone who is a parent and you don't want to burden your family with having to do a GoFundMe or to sell dinners and things of that nature in order to take care of your final expenses, then you would want to at least have a term policy. So that way it could take care of whatever burial expenses, and then hopefully to leave something behind for your family as well. So With it still being the new year, I will highly recommend that you talk to your local agent who may offer life insurance, or you can just basically talk to various companies that offer life insurance and at least get a quote and see what you're looking at, so that you just don't discount it or say, I can't afford it, or I don't really know that I really need that. And so we all should have some form of life insurance, again, so that way the final expenses and things can be taken care of, and families don't have to be stressed out and trying to figure out how they can take care of the final arrangements. And the other thing that I want to say that we should think about in the very beginning of the year would also be whether or not you have homeowners or if you have renters insurance. So definitely if you have a home, you oftentimes automatically have your homeowners insurance tied into your month-to-month payment. In some cases, it's not always the case, but typically, and it varies state to state, but typically you have insurance to make sure that if something was to happen to the home, such as the home burning down or whatever the case may be, then there is insurance in place to be able to help rebuild and things of that nature. And I know, as far as with California, for example, many insurance companies pulled out, unfortunately, and they stopped providing coverage. And in some cases, if they did provide coverage, they put a specific threshold on top of that, which I don't feel is right or fair or anything like that, because they were saying that they can't afford to provide the coverage for people who are in certain areas that are more prone to brush fires and mudslides and different things like that. However, sometimes when an insurance company will not provide the care, or the insurance, I should say, for the home, sometimes the state will have certain insurance available. So I know, for example, when living in Ohio, there was something called the Ohio Fair Plan. It's not the best insurance, but it's some insurance. So you rather have something than nothing. And so with the homeowners, typically with a regular policy through most insurance companies, you would typically have money that will cover the dwelling itself. And then outside of the dwelling, just think of if you were to turn your home upside down. It would cover many of the things such as your clothing, your electronics, your furniture, all of those type of things. And so let's just say, for example, though, you have a safe and you're like, oh, I had $100,000. Well, they're not going to cover $100,000. So there is a threshold for cash or for jewelry or fine art and stuff like that. And oftentimes you need to have a personal articles policy in order to have those things covered specifically. And sometimes even if you have a computer, such as a Mac computer, it's at least $1,000. And so you want to have that covered in case it gets stolen or any event if it gets damaged and things like that. So there are a plethora of different types of insurance. And so you're like, well, I don't know if I'll ever use it. It is best to have it in place than to not have it. So if something was to transpire and happen, you would be able to utilize that policy. And so if you are driving a vehicle and that vehicle is not paid off, more than likely you have insurance, because whoever it is that holds the loan, they require you to have insurance coverage. If you have a vehicle and it's paid off, you at least need to have liability insurance. And that means that if you get into an accident with someone, that means that the policy will pay out to take care of that person's damages. And also it will take care of your damages if you have full coverage. If you don't have full coverage and you only have liability insurance on your car, then that means that you're responsible for repairing your own vehicle. And so I'll end up doing another video as far as just breaking down how to read a declarations page and the different types of insurance more in depth with regards to life insurance and what does that mean, because some of the permanent policies, there's a cash value that builds up in that. And also, the last thing that I want to say is that I ended up reading an article, and it was so heartwarming and so heartfelt because it let me know that regardless as to how much you have with regards to resources financially, everyone can save something. Even if it's $5 a month, even if it's $10 a month, if it's $20 a month, if it is $100 a month, whatever it is, at some point we all have the ability to save. And basically, with this article, I read about a man who was making minimum wage. And he basically invested in a high yielding savings, and he also invested in the stock market. And so he continued to put in resources into the stock market in a high yield savings account. And over a period of time, while he's sleeping and not even thinking about it, his money was working for him. It allowed him to end up earning compound interest over time. And what did that do for him in the future? He was able to retire and to have a little over $500,000. And so I just thought, wow, that is so powerful. And really, if we think about it, if we actually in turn think about, you know what, how much did I spend at the corner store last week? How much did I spend at Rite Aid? So typically chips, candy, peanuts, eating out, all those things add up. And then next thing you know, it's like, where did my money go? So if you teach your money what you want it to do, then it can benefit us in the long run or help us create generational wealth. And so even regardless as to what your career is, we all have the ability to save, and it's going to look different for all of us. And so I'm an educator, right? And so, yes, I have funds that will go into the state retirement system. However, I also have to save additional funds outside of what's going in there. And so it is my hope that you will do the same. And so I ended up saying, you know what? As long as I'm breathing, nothing is impossible and it's never too late. So something that I decided to do was to invest in the stock market, and to do it not just through a 401k or retirement plan, but I decided to do research on ETFs and to actually decide to invest in different stock, that things that I actually love and that I support, so that I can make money and my money can grow while I'm sleeping, while I am continuing to work. And so that way I can have even more that I can utilize when I get ready to retire. And so again, everyone is saying YouTube is pushing out small content creators. Well, I'm trying this out. I'm testing it. And I know that many people say, you need a niche, you need a niche. I'm the type of person, I just want to talk about whatever I want to talk about. So typically on my Queen Technique station, I talk about things related to cybersecurity, CompTIA Security Plus, because I have gone down that journey. I talk about different AI resources or ed tech tools because I'm an educator and I love playing around with different apps and different platforms that are available to me as a teacher, or even just available to all of us. Like Canva, for example, is available to all of us. And you can use Canva to create different things as far as like for a party, or you can create different things for social media posts, such as an IG post or a Facebook post. So if you want to find out more information about how to raise well-grounded, respectful, successful young people, I'm your girl. It's only through the grace of God. If you want to talk about your faith, I'm a person of faith and I believe in Jesus Christ. So we can do various topics about that as well. What does it mean to be a Proverbs 31 woman? And just in general, so many different things. So I'm going to find out just how many people are going to view this video. And I'm going to see if this video get put out to tons and tons of people, because YouTube cares about helping small content creators. And I'm going to continue to give you updates to let you know how it's going. So currently right now, I have 2 subscribers. So if you found any of this information to be valuable, helpful, then by all means, please subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Like this video, share this video, and I hope all is well. Be blessed and take care.